The 2027 presidential race just took a shocking turn. Atiku's top aide, Demola Olarewaju, has just dropped a political bombshell and is shaking the corridors of power in Abuja. He claims that if Goodluck Jonathan and Atiku Abubakar run on different platforms, President Bola Tinubu and the APC could lose everything. Imagine Jonathan returning under the PDP, Atiku standing on another platform like the ADC, and the ruling party losing its base across Nigeria. Unbelievable, right? But wait till you hear why Olarewaju believes this could completely change Nigeria's political map in 2027. Let's break it down.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan is a formidable candidate. And I respect him tremendously. If he comes into the race, that's fine. If he emerges a strong candidate, I think that's also fine. Goodluck Jonathan comes into the primaries. If he can come into the primaries and contest in a competitive primaries and he wins, we all will support him.
So if Jonathan runs in the platform of the PDP,
yes,
and Atiku or someone else runs on the platform of the ADC, don't you think that is going to also be...
Then APC loses. APC would have no base in that election. So the scenario, there are several scenarios, and I think, all of them are all hypotheses at this point. But the last election was heavily ethnicized. Fortunately or unfortunately for us, Atiku Abubakar chose to run as a unifier. And rather than playing the ethnic card, it wasn't a very strong ethnic card to play anyway, because there was a lot of how would the Fulanis continue in power. So we could not even play that card. He had to play the unifier card. But people did not buy that unifier card. But if you put it in an election where Goodluck Jonathan is trying to capture the South-South, Bola Tinubu is trying to pump out numbers from the Southwest, then we would also return to our bases in the Southeast and the North and pull out those numbers as well.
You don't think this is the year we are going into is the year of the young people?
The year of the young people. Well, I think we should have had that. If you're talking politically, I think we should have had that for quite a while. Several governments have been unable to unlock the door for young people. In fact, in certain circles, when they say young people, they don't even consider people like us young people. They consider people in their 50s. And so when they say these young men, they are talking of people in their 50s. Those are in certain circles. I think, Nigerians deserve a party that recognizes the strength of those young people, Gen Z, Gen Alpha even, that recognizes those strengths and harnesses them. So I think, yes, we are talking the year of the young people, but we also acknowledge our own shortcomings. That, Bola Tinubu is a behemoth. Taking him on is not going to be unseated easily. Okay, there is going to be, there has to be a rallying point. And I think, the ADC is just perfect for that, because this is a party that is coming out to say 35 to 50% of our positions will be reserved for young people and women. And I think, this just makes it indeed the year.
But your principal, Atiku Abubakar, says that he's ready to step down for a younger candidate if he's defeated in the primaries of the ADC. Do you think that the ADC should field a younger candidate?
I think the ADC should field Atiku Abubakar. That's what I think.
Not Amechi?
I think Atiku Abubakar is the strongest candidate presently. And with all due respect to everybody, in this race, I think, the strongest ticket is the ticket that I had mentioned, having the two of them together. But I think, when it comes to defeating Bola Tinubu, I think Atiku Abubakar stands a very strong edge, because there are certain factors that are going to come to play in 2027. Name recognition, the ability to pull structures from all over the country. Atiku Abubakar has that. And I think, this will happen. Again, what Atiku Abubakar has said, what he said in that interview, he was saying, look, this is who he has been. He has been consistent on this. He lost the primaries, came third in the primaries, and he stepped down for Chief MK Abiola in 1992. He lost the primaries to Goodluck Jonathan in 2011. He worked for Goodluck Jonathan in that same election, and he delivered Adamawa State for him. He lost 2015 to General Muhammadu Buhari in Lagos, 2014. And in the 2015 election, he delivered Adamawa for Muhammadu Buhari. That's who Atiku Abubakar is. As far as national politics is concerned, for now and in the near future, I think the PDP has lost national relevance. I think the PDP will still remain a force in certain states of Nigeria. But as far as national politics is concerned, the PDP is no longer fit for purpose.
Is that party redeemable?
At this point, I would say that, if you had asked me this few months ago, I could say, yes, it was redeemable. But at this point, I do not think so. Because there are key people in the party. It's almost it's a circus show at this point. So there are forces that want to keep the party tethered to the APC. And then there are forces that also want to take over from those forces that are keeping the party tethered so that they can negotiate directly with the APC and keep PDP tethered to APC. And those guys also know. They know that, look, these guys also want to hijack it from me so that they go and negotiate with the APC, not because they want to defeat the APC, but because they want to negotiate directly with the APC. So that's where the problem is now. So in that situation, I cannot honestly count maybe 5 to 10 leaders of the party who are actually sincere. But, we believe that patriots will coalesce, patriots will work together for 2027 to unseat the incumbent president.
And that will be easy?
Of course, definitely not. The incumbent president is someone who, he prioritizes politics over governance, is somebody who plays politics takes political advantage of anything that, he sees an advantage to be taken. But in the long run, he's not God. He can be unseated. I believe that very strongly.
Well, he beat your principal silly the last time.
Well, a lot of factors, but we learned from that. And what we've learned from that is that the party base in Nigeria is not as strong as we expect that it should be. All the candidates won 12 states. In an election where there was a narrative against him, a narrative of Southern presidency running against him, or running against a political tide, he won 12 states. The remarkable thing is, out of those 12 states, only 5 were PDP states. He won more APC states, which was 7, than PDP states. So I think, now we have adapted to that. We have seen that the role of the party, especially as far as PDP is concerned, is overrated. So what we are going to have in the next election is that some people will answer PDP in name and work for another party. Some people will answer another party in name and work for our party. So we expect that we've readjusted to that reality, and we are working in line with that reality now.
The notion or the fact that Bola Tinubu has never lost an election, does that scare some of you in the Atiku camp?
How many elections has Bola Tinubu contested? He contested Senate in 1992, he contested governor in 1999, and he never contested any other position since then. I think Bola Tinubu is afraid of losing. And
he's run election 4 times and he's won all those 4.
Yes, that's my point. So he has run for Senate, he won the Senate election.
Yeah.
He has run for governor, he won the gubernatorial election, and then he won his re-election, and now he's running for president.
So if you look at just remember, just to also put some perspective, if you look at Lagos, for example, he has held sway as a political structure since 1999, and he's still holding sway. And that shows, and find me one single politician in Nigeria that has that level of political organization like Bola Tinubu.
I put forward Atiku Abubakar. I think as far as national politics is concerned, people forget that Atiku Abubakar contested for the first time for president in 1992, contested to be president. He was contesting as in his 40s with MKO Abiola and the likes of them, and he stepped down. I think the main difference between both of them is that Atiku Abubakar is not as desperate as people sometimes portray him to be, or as people sometimes assume that he is.
So you want to compare Bola Tinubu and Atiku Abubakar in terms of structure and political organization?
I think in this country, those are the two people who have run at par for the number of years. I mean, think about it. Atiku Abubakar left office as vice president in 2007. The man is still relevant almost 20 years after. You know, people like to assume that, oh, it's money. People like to assume that, oh, it's patronage. The man has been out of office for over 20 years, for close to 20 years, but he's still relevant in the politics. I mean, if we run on PDP platform today, we will win the PDP ticket again, you know, but we've won it twice. We've used that platform twice. We've seen that, look, this is not a platform that can win. And that's why we are here. And for me, it's very remarkable that at his age, 78, the man is still at the forefront of leading the opposition structure in this country, bringing everybody together. He's not afraid to start all over again. That for me is
Atiku has lost election as much as Tinubu has won elections.
Well, I mean,
is more of a loser, and these are the facts. This is not. It's more of a loser. Tinubu is more of a winner. If you look at the figures, and we're going to put it on the screen, Atiku ran election as a president 2011.
Yes.
2000,
the primaries.
2011
to
in 2015,
Jonathan.
he lost in the primaries. He ran election in 2019, he lost. He ran election in 2023, is lost. So, and if you look at Bola Tinubu's history politically, he's won all the election that he ran for.
But
on the side,
directly
there is only one election that Atiku has ever won in his I'm stating the fact.
Yes, I mean these are
only
facts.
one
These are
election.
Facts, but I'm trying to put the
being
fact
a governor of Adamawa State, he won.
I'm trying to put
then
the
he became the vice president, and he's
yes.
never been on the ballot and won anything. Do you think that kind of person can defeat a Bola Tinubu with the facts out there?
Atiku Abubakar in a free and fair election will defeat Bola Tinubu 1-on-1. We were
the 2023 election.
We were unfortunate that it became a three-way race. Okay, it became a three-way race. The PDP itself. I mean, look, people underestimate. The golden boy of the last election was clearly, in the opinion of many, was His Excellency Peter Obi. But people forget that in that same election, Atiku was running against a tide. There was the clamor for Southern presidency. There was the clamor for how can Fulani do another 8 years. We lost some of our key allies. The party that he was running on was sabotaging him, and that man won 12 states in that election. He won 12 states. And people, see, I say this freely, that people sometimes assume that, Atiku will win primaries. The reason why Atiku is this strong is because Atiku is a powerhouse in politics. He's a powerhouse in terms of the fact that he is perhaps the only politician in Nigeria today who draws people in, who draws people along, okay? So these people are always willing to go with him. You see how the ADC is being accepted all across the north. You see how people are defecting in the Lagos state and various other states. That's who Atiku Abubakar is. So for me, that actually stands him out. And the fact that, he's willing to put himself forward, he's not afraid of loss, he's not afraid of failure.
You think that Nigerian youth will be favorably disposed to Atiku running again? Atiku is going to be 80 years in the next election.
Yes.
An 80-year-old to run the affairs of this youthful country. We have
his age with Bola Tinubu. I would say that Atiku Abubakar is as fit as anybody you put into this race. I mean, and the truth is, we all want a president who is fit. We all want a president who is mentally capable. Atiku Abubakar.
Do you think that Nigerians will be looking in the way of an 80-year-old leading this country? We have an over 60% of youthful voting population.
What Atiku putting forward differently from what Bola Tinubu is putting forward is that he's going to create opportunities for young people. He has said that his cabinet is going to have 35%, at least 35%, and we are discussing taking it to 50 now with the ADC platform, representation for women and young people. And this is not young people like myself or yourself calling ourselves young people. We are talking 30 below. We are talking the Gen Z age brackets. That these are the people who are going to come into government. This government has not been able to do that. So I think Nigerians will move forward from those kind of conversations in 2027, talking about age, talking about ethnicity. We've tried all that before. It didn't work for us. So this time around, we have to look for how do we effect change in this country. And if Atiku Abubakar is the person who can bring that change, then I think Nigerians will support him.
Let me ask you this question. Do you really think ADC stand a chance in a national election? And I give you perspective. I mean, believe me when I say these things. Like it or hate it, one's experience on this field, political journalism, you cannot take away the fact experience in this. There is no election that has been won by any political party at the center, either National Assembly election or presidential election, by a party that has not held sway in at least 12 states of the Federation. Those are the facts. ADC does not have one state in control. It only has one House of Reps member. And you're going to an election and you think that you want to win. This nation is too politically complex. In reality, Demola,
yes,
are you really thinking ADC on the first shot with this opposition coalition think that
politics,
2027 is for the taking for ADC?
And I will start by saying that I'm not one to underestimate Bola Tinubu at all. I know that he's somebody who plays very tough. He's someone who plays very hard. But I would say this also, that if there is any hope for Nigerians to unseat him in 2027, that hope lies with the ADC. And I think that, we need to look at 2023 elections to understand what may happen in 2027. In 2023, what you had was a party that was sabotaged, and what you had was a party where parties did not matter, basically. You had PDP sitting governors that were openly campaigning for the APC. You had PDP sitting governors that were clandestinely campaigning for the Labour Party. Okay, so, and you had APC governors who also worked with us. Okay, so what you will have now is no longer a question of whether it's ADC or whether it's Labour or whether it's PDP or whether it's Sheun Party or whether it's Demola Party. No, it is about Nigerians deciding that, look, we want these guys out. Now, PDP could have harnessed that if PDP had positioned itself and said, look, we are here, we want to be the opposition. I think that to unseat Bola Tinubu, what ADC needs to do is to align itself with the people and say, look, we are here, use us to kick this man out of power. So it's not necessarily about the political party itself or about the governors or about whoever. It's about the fact that the ADC simply needs to position itself. Nigerians are tired of this government. Nigerians are tired of the insecurity, are tired of the misgovernance and, the over-politicization of the country. Okay, so I think that ADC, backed by the Nigerian people, will pull surprises in next election.
So let me summarize my earlier question and put it pointedly. ADC lacks national political structure.
ADC has structures. ADC has better structures today than PDP in certain states, than even APC in certain states of the country. I mean, look, the ADC wasn't just... The last election proved it very clearly. Atiku Abubakar pulled certain numbers. You saw the numbers Atiku Abubakar pulled. That was with a party that was sabotaging him.
Even with the APC presidencies, clandestinely, like you mentioned, supporting Atiku Abubakar.
No, they were not. It was.
You're not aware of...
There were certain personalities. There were certain personalities who wanted us. Okay, but there were very strong personalities who were in support of the APC continuing in power. We also campaigning for Mr.
You are aware that powerful people in the Buhari presidency were working for Atiku Abubakar and frustrated Bola Tinubu. Even at that,
I never saw any of those. I never saw any of those.
You are not aware.
I never saw
even
any of
after
those
the election, there are those who came out to say they worked for Atiku Abubakar against Bola Tinubu.
Personally, I saw some of those people. But you see, the politics is this. If people cannot come out to openly say they are supporting you, then there's a problem. Then you know you have a problem. If somebody tells you, just go, we are supporting you, but it's in our hearts, you know you have a problem. People came out. The only person that came out openly in the north, El Rufai, came out openly and stood for Bola Tinubu, daring the northern elders, proclaiming that power was definitely going to go to Bola Tinubu. That was what I saw. But you see, the consensus this time around is simple, is that the APC has failed at the center and we need to be able to work, across board. In terms of the national structures, I think ADC is better positioned in most of the northern states than even PDP in certain states. And I think that as time comes forward, when people start putting themselves forward for senatorial, for gubernatorial elections, we will see the difference and see that indeed the ACC has a very strong national structure. But again, I would say also that sometimes this structure can be inhibitive, and I say this as a party man. Okay, I say this as someone who was a member of the PDP and who strongly believes in structures. When His Excellency mentioned to me that he was leaving the PDP, my first excitement was the fact that, look, here's an opportunity for us to do something new. Here's an opportunity for us to do something different. In PDP today, if you are going to have a campaign committee, all they would do is bring out the campaign committee list of the last election, photocopy it, Tipex out some names, put some new names, and so on. They always start with the same template. They always start with the same style of campaign. I think what we'll see in ADC is going to be a refreshing dimension to national campaigns, a refreshing dimension to how politics is done, and I look forward to that very strongly, Sean.
So it's quite interesting, though. So you look at the scenario that has played out, and even in Adamawa State, Atiku Abubakar is still not seen as a member of the ADC. Why hasn't he joined the ADC just yet?
Well, I think at the right time he would pick up membership of the ADC, but everybody knows his soul and spirit are with ADC. There is no meeting of that opposition coalition that was held that Atiku Abubakar has not been a part of, And again, for me, I find it very remarkable. At 79, at 78, many people will be tired of trying again, for fear of what people will tag them losers. But for him to still want to dare put himself in the field, still out there rallying the troops, I think, that is actually worthy of commendation.
Do you really believe about the 2027 election, that it's going to be free and fair?
I have my fears. Huge fears that 2027 will be free and fair. Bola Tinubu doesn't exactly play fair. they're going to try and skew the odds in their favor as much as possible. You know, from the security outfits to the electoral agencies. You know, so I'm not confident that that election will be free and fair.
What gives you that feeling? It's still early in the day and you're having this.
Well, first of all, the personality of Bola Tinubu. Bola Tinubu is not exactly known to be fair for me. When it comes to politics, they feel that, you know, the end justifies the means, and, you know, if they want to keep power, then they have to load the dice as much as possible. So there's that fear. Then there's the fear of the kind of government that he runs. He runs a government of crony capitalism, a government where a lot of people in that government will do a lot to hold on to office. You have ministers who would do everything possible to churn out millions of votes from their states. You have senators, you know, from the Senate president, others who will do a lot to ensure that they protect what they have within that crony capitalist system. So I have no confidence that, you know, that election will be free and fair, but we are politicians and we will go into the field, but we hope that Nigerians too will also mount the adequate pressure when the time comes. I mean, look, the electoral agencies have been compromised before in times past. In the 2007 election of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was adjudged not to be as free and fair as it should have been. So this time around, you know, we look forward to that. But if INEC is able to come out, or the legislature is able to come out and say, we are going to codify the electoral aspects of the electoral law and make it mandatory for INEC to use it, then I think we stand a good chance. But as politicians, you know, what we are going to do is to start from the political side of it and say that let us have a very strong opposition that will present one strong candidate, or present the strongest ticket possible to confront Bola Tinubu, and then we come to the issue of INEC.